Hello, I'm Chris Stanley, retired correctional captain out of California, working for the Department of Corrections out here. Just here today to kind of talk to you a little bit about CF2F and some of the experiences that I've been through and some of the stuff that I've seen over the years. You get to an academy, they start teaching you. They teach you everything. I mean, from how to protect yourself, how to use firearms, how to deal with inmates. Um, the one thing they lack, honestly, is how to deal with the stresses of the job. In my experience, like I said, when I first started, there was just kind of that mentality of, hey, you get through it and you deal with it and you start moving forward, you know. And I was probably about, oh, 9 years into the department, and I started wanting to do more for our staff. I started wanting to get more involved in that. It increased, and as I promoted up, and I promoted up to a lieutenant at a new institution, I started getting more involved in the training, and actually became part of IST department, the training department, and actually was the manager over that area. Loved it. Was a great thing because I was doing something for staff. They brought this course to me, and said, "Hey, you're going up here, and you're going to start. It's a class we're going to start teaching next year." And it was a CF2F course. And we're sitting through this thing, and I thought the material was really good. But I'll be honest, I did not see us being able to sell this product to our staff at first. And I was pretty honest with Katarina about it at that point, that this is going to be a tough sell. We went back, and me and my assistant ICT manager, we sat down and started going through the course and started prepping, and we're like, we're gonna take this to it and see what happens. And I have to be honest, I was really surprised. Um, Almost immediately, the impact that this class had on our staff, it was incredible. Um, People that I never thought would ever be accepting of this would walk into my office after class while they're out there, and they'd be like, "Where's this been? I needed this 20 years ago. You know, had it not been, had I had this then, I might still be married, or I might still have a relationship with my kids." Um, and that was a weekly. I mean, every week, for an entire year, we taught this class consistently, and every week I had at least two or three staff members come into my office with similar stories, asking where it'd been, and wanting to know what more they could do and what more they could get. It really had a huge impact on the way our staff, saw things. Many of our staff, um, it had an impact on. I had one officer come in that was getting ready to retire, and he's like, "Hey," he goes, "Thank you." He goes, "Because I was really struggling with retirement, and I never really thought about my identity outside of this department." And he goes, after, sitting through this class, he goes, the identity portion of the class alone that we talk about was just really impactful, and it helped me understand, it helped him understand that he was more than just a correctional officer, that 30 years in the department didn't identify him, but that his family outside was identifying him. And last I heard, he was retired and doing well. I had an officer come to me, you know, in dire need, and he's like, "Hey," he goes, "I didn't." It was a couple weeks after he went through the course, and he came back out, and he was sitting there with me, and he's like, "Hey," he goes, "I need help." He goes, "I'm in a bad way, and he goes, I need someone to come and take my guns and store them for me." He goes, "Because I'm at that point where I'm I'm able to and willing to." And so um, a tough thing to deal with. It was really hard to see this kid come in, because not only was this, but he was a kid that worked for me on the line. So I spent a lot of time with him on the line. I worked with him a lot. So um, we reached out, we got a hold of our EAP program and got him help. Um, had him made up with our peer support, and did the stuff to do it. And success. Luckily, there again, he's doing well. I haven't talked to him in a little while, since I retired, but um, last talking to him, he was in good shape. His marriage was solid, and he got back on track. There's just so many stories like that. I had another instructor that um, got a phone call late at night from an officer that had been through the course and came out and basically told me, "Hey, I'm 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 done." And our instructor, was talking to him and asked him to hang on, and our instructor actually went over to his house. And when he got there, the gun was on the table and the guy was ready. And luckily there again, we were able to get him help, able to, start the process with him, the EAP and stuff like that, and averted, potential tragedy. There's just so many stories like this that we've had, over the time teaching this course. It's just it was very impactful to the point of even after I got out of the IST and promoted on to captain. This was stuff that I taught with my staff. I talked with my staff and made a point to sit, to pull my staff in on a regular basis as individuals and just check on their well-being to make sure that they were doing all right, that they were doing well, and keeping up with them, because this was such a huge impact. In order to succeed as a department, regardless of what your department is, you have to take care of your staff. They have to be taken care of in order to do the job effectively, because even your best employee is only as good as their well-being. They can only do their job to the point of, their capability. And if they're mentally just not in it, they're not going to give you what you need. I'm a big advocate for staff well-being and looking out for this, and the programs that Desert Waters putting out. I've had a kind of the privilege of kind of seeing it evolve over the last several years and going the direction it's going. And not only with the not only with correctional staff, but their families, other outreaches they're looking towards and stuff like that. It's just been, it's really a neat program. The fact that it's research based and it's not just a whim thing. I mean, everything that is taught is, it's based on research. It's based on findings and studies, and it's not just some fly by the seat thing, So huge impact. And like I said, for me, I look forward to what's the future has to hold, and I'm hoping that this continues to spread across the nation, not only here in California, but just everywhere.